What if the people meant to love you were the ones who hurt you most? She sensed it for years, forced smiles, careful words, love with strings attached. But this time, the mask slipped. A single phone call turned everything upside down. What began as hope quickly curdled into something colder, crueler. Would you walk away from your own blood to protect the family you've built? Don't look away. The truth is just beginning to unravel. The sun dipped low over the Blue Ridge Mountains, casting golden light across the quiet porch where Ivy Quinn sat, with a mug of chamomile tea, watching Lily chase fireflies across the lawn. For a fleeting moment, the world felt still, simple, even safe. But simplicity had never been a luxury in her life. Ivy, 28, was the kind of woman who learned early how to hold herself together when everything else fell apart. Fierce, independent, a survivor in a family that praised perfection and punished deviation. Yet, no matter how far she ran, how high she climbed, a quiet ache always pulled her back, the longing for a real family, the kind that didn't require her to earn love like a trophy. Inside the house, Knox Wilder, her partner of 5 years, was helping Lily, tiny, fearless, 5-year-old Lily, into her pajamas. Ivy smiled at the laughter spilling through the open window. Knox had a way of making everything feel less heavy, less haunted. They weren't married yet, but the date was set, Christmas Eve. A vineyard ceremony, snow-dusted vines, vows under twinkling lights. A fresh start. Or so she thought. Her phone rang. Mom. She hesitated. Conversations with her mother always came with invisible strings, like ornaments dangling over a trap. Still, she answered. Hi, sweetheart, her mother cooed, sugar sweet. We need to talk about Thanksgiving. Ivy's heart lifted a little. Maybe this was it, a chance for Lily to bond with her grandparents, for them to sit around a table as something resembling a whole family. Maybe her mother was trying. Of course, I was hoping you'd call about that, Ivy said, already picturing Lily helping to mash potatoes, laughing with cousins, cuddling in her grandfather's lap. We'd love to come. There was a pause. Then came the knife. Well, we're actually planning something a little more refined this year. Just adults. Intimate. No kids. Ivy blinked. What do you mean, no kids? It's going to be very elegant, darling. Formal dinner, crystal stemware, that sort of thing. Not really a place for little ones. Little ones. The words sliced deeper than they should have. What about Caleb's kids? Ivy asked, already knowing the answer but hoping, desperately, that her mother wouldn't say what she feared. Another pause. They'll be there, of course, her mother said. They're more well-behaved. Easier to manage. Silence pressed down like a boulder. Ivy's chest tightened. So Lily's not welcome because she's not easy. Don't take it that way, her mother said, voice dipping into that familiar tone, dismissive, irritated. It's just one dinner. Ivy stared out at her daughter, who was now spinning in the grass, arms open like wings. Her baby. Her wild, brilliant, radiant child. Not easy. Not quiet. But perfectly hers. Then we're not coming. Ivy, her mother's voice sharpened, but Ivy didn't stay to hear the rest. She ended the call with trembling fingers and a heart pounding in her chest. Inside, Knox looked up as she walked in, the color drained from her face. What happened? He asked gently. She sat beside him, her voice steady but low. My family just made it very clear who's welcome. And who's not. The morning after the phone call, the silence in the house was thick. Ivy sat at the kitchen counter, staring at her untouched coffee, her mind looping the conversation over and over like a wound she couldn't stop picking at. Knox leaned against the sink, arms crossed. He didn't push. He never did. If Lily's not welcome, I don't see why I should be either. Her voice cracked, not from doubt, but from exhaustion. Say that again, Knox said, his voice calm but firm. If my daughter isn't welcome at the table, then neither am I, she repeated louder, steadier. He walked over, took her hand. That's the woman I love. Then he added, real family doesn't treat each other like that, much. And Lily deserves better. She nodded slowly, something cold and final settling inside her chest. For the first time, she wasn't just angry, she was done. Done apologizing. Done proving. Done chasing love that came with disclaimers. Later that afternoon, she called her mother back. We won't be coming to Thanksgiving. A beat of silence. Ivy, don't be ridiculous. This isn't about being ridiculous. If Lily's not invited, then I'm not either. Her mother scoffed. You're being selfish. You've always made everything about you. No, Ivy said, voice sharp as glass. I'm making it about my daughter now. If that makes me selfish, so be it. She hung up before the conversation could unravel further. That night, Knox sat on the couch with his laptop, eyes scanning the screen. Ivy was folding laundry, but his furrowed brow caught her attention. Everything okay? Something doesn't look right here, he muttered. I was checking through your bank statements, just to make sure nothing's missing with the wedding stuff. He turned the screen toward her. Ivy, do you know how long your credit card's been linked to this auto payment? She leaned in, eyes narrowing at the numbers. What the hell? That's not my transaction. That's not even my account. Knox clicked a few times, pulling up a long list of charges, recurring transfers, large purchases, all traced back over years. Tens of thousands of dollars. Quietly drained. Ivy's stomach dropped. Oh my God. They've been using my card. You think it was your parents? She shook her head slowly, breath catching in her throat. They had my info. I gave it to them once, a long time ago, to help with something small. I thought it stopped after that. Her hands trembled as she reached for her phone. No more, she said. I'm canceling the card. I'm cutting them off. And she did. With shaking fingers and fire in her chest, she shut it all down. No more lifelines. No more quiet leeching. But instead of fury, the response from her parents was nothing. No calls. No angry voicemails. No frantic texts demanding answers. Just silence. And then Caleb's message came. Why are you blowing this out of proportion? Mom said you cut off their money. Do you even know how hard they've had it lately? Ivy stared at the screen, pulse rising. Guilt crept in like smoke, thick, suffocating, uninvited. Am I wrong? She whispered. Knox reached for her hand, eyes steady. You're not. You've given enough. They took too much. It's okay to protect your peace, Ivy. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from the strange, aching relief of finally being seen. For the first time in her life, she wasn't going to be the quiet daughter, the good girl, the fixer. She was going to be the mother Lily needed. Even if that meant burning bridges to build something better. Knox didn't sleep that night. After Ivy went to bed, exhausted and emotionally drained, he stayed up at the kitchen table, laptop open, heart pounding with every click. Something didn't sit right. The transactions, the silence, Caleb's oddly timed text, it all stank. He wasn't just worried anymore. He was hunting. By 3:17 a.m., Knox had found it. A hidden trail of digital breadcrumbs, multiple transfers, one after another, all routed from Ivy's credit card to an unfamiliar bank account. The name on the account wasn't her mother's. Not her father's. It was Caleb Quinn. Knox stared at the screen in stunned silence. His jaw clenched. A dark, protective anger surged inside him. "You son of a bitch." The next day, Ivy sat across from Knox as he showed her the evidence, every transaction, every stolen dollar, every betrayal hidden behind her back. "He told them you were okay with it," Knox said. "That you were helping them. That's why they never asked questions." Ivy stared blankly at the screen, her breath shallow. "All these years. They thought I was giving." "You were," Knox said gently. "Just not by choice." Her hands tightened into fists. The rage was real, but underneath it all, deeper, sharper, was heartbreak. Not just at Caleb, but at herself, for always making excuses, always trying to believe the best in people who didn't deserve it. She stood. "I need to see them." The Quinn home was quiet when Ivy pulled up the gravel driveway. Not the warm, bustling quiet of home, but a still, brittle quiet. Like something had cracked. Her parents sat in the living room, her mother clutching a cup of tea, her father staring at the muted television. They looked up when she entered. "Ivy," her mother said, surprised. "We need to talk," Ivy said, no warmth in her voice. "Now." She dropped the folder of printed statements on the coffee table. Transaction logs. Bank transfers. Her name. Caleb's account. Her mother's face went pale. "What is this?" "Proof," Ivy said coldly. "That Caleb has been stealing from me for years. And using your names to do it." Her mother opened the folder, and within seconds, the cup in her hands began to shake. Her father stood, grabbing the pages, flipping through them faster and faster. "No. No, this can't be right. Caleb said, he told us." "He lied," Ivy cut in. "He used you. He used me. And you let him." "Don't talk to us like that," her father barked. "We didn't know." "You didn't want to know," she snapped. "You believed him because he's always been your favorite. Because I was just the one who held everything together while he tore it apart." A voice came from the hallway. "What's going on?" Caleb stood at the doorway, arms crossed, casual in his smugness. "She's playing victim again," he muttered. "You always were dramatic, Ivy." She turned to him slowly. "You stole from me. Prove it." Without a word, Ivy pulled out the final page, a printed screenshot of the bank account showing his name, his signature, his connection to every fraudulent charge. His face froze. For the first time, the smirk faltered. "I didn't. I was just trying to help them. They needed it." "So you decided to rob your sister," their father growled. "You always had money," Caleb snapped. "You never even noticed. What's the big deal?" Their mother stood now, trembling. "Caleb, you told us she was helping willingly. You said she offered. I had to say something. You were drowning in debt." Ivy took a step forward, her voice calm, but shaking with fury. "You didn't just lie. You manipulated them. You made me look like a heartless daughter while you drained me dry." Caleb looked at their parents for backup, but their faces had changed. Shock. Disgust. Disbelief. "Get out," their father said quietly. "What?" "I said get out of this house, Caleb. Now. You can't be serious. You used us. You used her. You've been lying for years. And I let you, because I wanted to believe my son wasn't capable of this. His voice cracked. I was wrong. Their mother covered her mouth, tears spilling. We defended you against her. Again and again. My God. Caleb looked at them, his shield, his audience, and realized, for once, they weren't on his side. He didn't say another word. He just walked out. And the silence he left behind was different this time. It wasn't the absence of sound. It was the absence of denial. Her parents turned to her. Ivy. We're so sorry. You saw what you wanted to see, she said softly. But I won't be invisible anymore. And I won't let Lily grow up thinking this is what love looks like. Her mother sobbed, reaching out. Please? Let us make it right. Ivy didn't pull away, but she didn't lean in either. Not yet. The days that followed were quieter. Not empty, just still. The kind of quiet that follows a storm, not because the damage is gone, but because the truth has finally settled in its place. Ivy didn't answer her parents' calls right away. She needed time. Time to feel the weight of her own decisions, to sit with the reality that the boundaries she drew weren't just for them, they were for herself. For Lily. When she finally returned their call, her voice was steady. I'm not ready to forgive, she said. But if you truly want to make things right. There was a long pause on the other end. Anything, her mother whispered. Then start with Lily. Her voice didn't waver. If you want to be in our lives, you show up for her. No more exclusions. No more conditions. She is my family. She comes first. Always. Her father cleared his throat, the sound rough, as if words had become too unfamiliar in his mouth. We understand, he said. You're right. We failed you. We failed her. But if you'll let us try again, we won't waste it. Christmas came with the first snow. The Blue Ridge vineyard was lit in soft gold, the grapevines wrapped in twinkle lights, snowflakes catching in their branches like stars that had lost their way. Inside the lodge, warmth radiated from every corner, wood-burning fireplaces, laughter, the clinking of mugs filled with cider and cinnamon. And in the middle of it all was Lily, her cheeks pink with joy, twirling in a velvet green dress, arms wrapped around her grandfather's legs, as he helped her put the angel on the tree. Ivy stood in the doorway for a moment, watching the scene unfold like something out of a life she'd never dared to imagine. Her mother sat nearby, hands full of glitter and tape, helping Lily wrap a tiny present for Knox. No tension. No whispers. Just presence. Knox slipped his arm around Ivy's waist. Not bad, he whispered. She leaned into him, her eyes never leaving the room. It's not perfect. But it's real. That's more than I ever thought I'd have. You've got it now, he said, kissing her temple. And you built it. She thought about everything it took to get here, the pain, the boundaries, the heartbreak of letting go in order to make room for something better. And she realized something. She never needed to earn their love. If it came at the cost of who she was, it was never love to begin with. This was different. Because now, she had a choice. And she chose this family, the messy, healing, fiercely loyal one they were becoming. Knox smiled as he watched Ivy pick Lily up, spinning her in the air as the little girl squealed with delight. That's my girls, he said softly. And in that moment, there was no doubt. This was home. It had been a month since the snow-covered Christmas. A month since forgiveness began to bloom in cautious, quiet moments. Since Lily's laughter finally filled the rooms that once echoed with unspoken wounds. Things weren't perfect. But they were healing. And for once, Ivy wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. Until it did. Her phone buzzed late one evening. A single message. No name on the screen, just the number she hadn't blocked, but hadn't dared touch either. Enjoy your little victory, Ivy. But don't think I'm gone. She stared at the screen, her heart thudding once, not from fear, but recognition. Caleb. Of course. Even now, he couldn't let go of the mask slipping. Couldn't stand that the spotlight had turned cold, that the lie he lived behind had crumbled beneath his feet. Knox walked into the room just as she was reading it. You okay? She didn't flinch. She didn't panic. She simply locked her phone and set it face down on the table. He's still trying to play games, she said quietly. But I'm done playing. Knox nodded once, and that was all she needed. She didn't answer Caleb. Because there was nothing left to say. The silence was her answer. And for the first time in her life, Ivy Quinn wasn't afraid of being the villain in someone else's story, not when she knew exactly who she was in her own. She had fought her way out of the shadows. And no text, no threat, no bitter sibling clinging to a broken throne could drag her back in. Family isn't always written in blood. Sometimes, it's found in the people who see you clearly and still choose to stay. In the quiet moments of acceptance. In the loud ones of protection. In the arms that hold you not because they have to, but because they want to. Not every villain is evil. And not every victim is innocent. Sometimes, the lines blur, twisted by fear, by need, by the desperate hunger to be seen. But pain is no excuse for betrayal. Love without respect is not love at all. This story isn't just about cutting ties. It's about drawing lines. It's about learning that saying no doesn't make you cruel. It makes you free. So protect your peace. Guard your joy. And remember, you owe no one access to your heart, unless they earn it with kindness, with honesty, and with love that never demands you shrink to fit.